Time for Chapter 5 of Magium. Darren, I shout. Darren, can you hear me? Barry, wait right there. I'm coming for you. Well, it's not like I'm going anywhere. My knees still hurt like hell. I barely even budged from my original position to avoid more pain. Eden sure did a number on me. Barry, what happened? Darren says when he sees me. Oh, not much. Just a little parting gift from our mutual friend. Eden, says Darren while clenching his fist. He casts a healing spell on me, and I suddenly get enveloped in a warm, soothing light. The pain leaves me completely, and I manage to get back on my feet with no difficulty. I always knew there were healing spells like this, but witnessing one of them firsthand is something else. Most healers I've met in my lifetime could barely even heal light bruises or ankle sprains. Not much of healers, are they? Where's the Stillwater? Gone. I just saw him kill Cutthroat Dave along with the whole crew of henchmen. Turns out he can cast fire magic, combustive magic, and teleportation without even breaking a sweat. Eden got upset because Cutthroat Dave mistook him for me, and I took advantage of the situation. Ha! Serves him right. But how'd I end up unconscious on the ground? You mean you don't remember? He just waved his hand casually and put you to sleep. What? That can't be right. I have so much protection against sleep spells I should be almost immune. At the very least, I should be able to keep my consciousness. And what was that about him using fire magic? I'm pretty sure he used air magic on me when we first met him. Normally it takes a lifetime to master even a single element. Maybe he's made a pact with some god? Don't believe everything you read in fairy tales, Barry. I've yet to hear of a real pact between a god and a mortal. And I'm most definitely not inclined to believe that any of the gods would have bothered to so much as acknowledge that punk's existence. At any rate, I think we should wake up Kate. She needs to hear what happened, and we could use another strategy meeting right about now. Once she's up, we start filling her in on all what's happened since Eden showed up. After we're done talking, Kate takes a few moments to reflect on our words. So, let me see if I got this right, she says. Barry, you traded our lives for one message. Right, I say, and we need to deliver this message to any robed men we might encounter that wear a brooch with a picture of a hawk holding the sun in its talons. Yep. Does that description tell you anything? Yes, she says, and then almost immediately looks towards the ground. She's hiding something again. I just know it. They're an underground group, she continues. Most of the time they don't really show themselves in public. Nobody knows exactly who they are or what they do, but most people don't even know they exist. But there are rumors that they are being backed by the kings of Varathia. They're being backed by the kings? Darren asked. What would Eden want with these hot shots? You simply have to tell them to remember the still winter, right? I wonder what that's supposed to mean. It sounds like a coded message to me. I think it's referring to something that only Eden and those robed men know, so that they can meet up somewhere or take a certain action. I agree, Darren says. He wouldn't want us to know where they'll be meeting or what they'll be doing, after all. I don't think the Stillwater would have spared our lives just to send a message, Kate says. He must have some other hidden reason we're not aware of. The way he phrased this message, it sounds more like a threat to me. What if they attack us right after we tell them these words? Now hold on there, Darren says. There's no reason to assume that the message is a threat just from the phrase's wording. Besides, I think that's what's more important right now is to figure out a way to beat Eden, not talk about his message. And how do you suggest we do that exactly, Kate says. It only took him half a second to put you to sleep. And I'm pretty sure that your protections are better than mine in that department. That alone would be enough to take us all out. But I hear he has a whole arsenal of other spells in his pocket. So what? Does that mean we should all just bow down to him now and become his lackeys? When did I ever say anything like that? All I'm saying is we don't have enough information to make any viable strategies against him at this point. Until we find some weakness to that magic of his, we should be grateful for the time Barry's bought us with his trade, however long it may last. Maybe you're right. Hopefully the time Barry's bought for us will be enough to find out Eden's weakness. Kate, I say, do you have a minute? Kate is looking at me confused. Of course, she says, finally, and then she follows me outside the cave. As we make our way out, Darren winks at me and gives me a thumbs up. Leave it to Darren to completely misinterpret this kind of situation. Sometimes I wonder if he even understands body language at all. I'm going to ask you directly, I tell Kate once we reach the cave's entrance. What is the Beacon of Hope? She pauses for a bit to look at me straight in the eye. How do you know about the beacon? She asks me. Eden told us you're a survivor from that place shortly before attacking Darren. He wouldn't give us any details, though. He said we should ask you personally, so what is it then? It's complicated. No doubt, there's no need to tell me the full story. A short summary will do. Do you really have nothing better to do than meddle in my personal affairs? If it were just a matter of privacy, then I wouldn't have brought it up. But it's not, is it? You've been hiding things ever since we first met. It was the same when I asked you about the robed men Eden is looking for. I'm asking you because I don't want the secrecy of yours to end up killing us all. It won't. How can you be so sure? She looks away for a second. It just won't. She pauses. I'm not planning to keep this a secret forever. It's just, this isn't the right time. I promise I'll make all things clear in due time. Now, if that's all you want to discuss with me, I'll be going back to sleep. She heads back inside the cave, but I do not follow her. Instead, I lie down with my back against the cave's outer wall and start to collect my thoughts. A lot has happened since I joined this tournament. People are dying left and right, and the organizers are not even bothering to give us our objectives. And to top it all off, there's that Stillwater. What could he possibly look to achieve by joining a tournament like this? What is his purpose? Mom. As I sit there and think, I suddenly hear a woman's scream coming from far in the distance. At the same time, I get a warning message floating in front of my eyes telling me not to hurt her because she's one of the locals. Although she's pretty far away from here, judging by the faint traces of magic that are coming from her direction, it's safe to assume that she's being attacked by monsters. They don't seem to be very big or particularly powerful, so we're likely talking about a handful of goblins. The rules of the tournament are a bit hazy on what would happen if we were to save one of the locals from a monster attack. The general rule is to not intervene at all in the affairs of the people of Varathia, but it's not being enforced through a spell, like the rule that prevents us from directly hurting them, for example. From a logical perspective, it would be less risky to not intervene. There's no way to know for certain that taking an action here would not get me banned from the tournament. But then, the woman screams again, this time louder and sounding more terrified. This isn't the time to worry about tournament regulations. The woman's life is in danger. We need to act now. Darren, come quick. What's wrong? One of the locals is being attacked by a group of goblins nearby. If we hurry, we can make it in time to rescue her. Darren gets a serious look on his face and grabs his sword. Let's go, he says, and he follows me as I headed in the direction of where I heard the scream. As we get closer, the monster's magical auras intensify. There's 4 of them, and they have the woman surrounded. But it doesn't seem like they've drawn blood yet. When we finally get within visual range of the attackers, my suspicions get confirmed. They're goblins, all right. Vile and hideous creatures, not taller than 4 feet, with fangs instead of teeth, crooked noses, pointy ears, and green skin. Despite their appearance, goblins are quite intelligent and are usually organized in clans, with clearly defined hierarchies. Unlike most other monster races, they're also smart enough to make and use tools, as well as weapons and armor. Oh boy, I need ancient languages, do I? I think I have points. As soon as they see us, one of them yells something to his allies in a language I don't understand, and then they all quickly make themselves scarce. Visibly, they are not prepared for an actual fight. After the goblins are gone, I turn around to make sure the woman we just saved isn't hurt in any way. Now that I get a good look at her, I'm briefly stunned by just how beautiful she is. She has long auburn hair, a thin waist, and a warm smile, while her facial features are soft and feminine, unlike those of Kate, and her light brown eyes radiate kindness. She is wearing an auburn dress to match her hair, and she appears to be somewhere in her mid-20s. The woman is now bowing elegantly before us as a gesture of gratitude. "Thank you all so much for your help," she says. "I don't know what I would have done without you. My name is Rose. Pleased to meet you."
First, I'll fix your English.
"You were lucky that we managed to make it in time to rescue you. What were you thinking coming out here all by yourself?" "Barry, you're being too harsh," Darren tells me. "No, he's right," Rose says. "Coming here alone was very reckless of me. It's just that I was running out of time, and no one was willing to come with me to help. I had no choice." "If I may ask," Kate interrupts, "what were you doing all alone in the middle of the wilderness?" "Well, Miss, Kate," says Kate as she points toward herself. She then curtly points towards me and then Darren, giving Rose our names as well. Rose smiles and she continues. "Miss Kate, I was out here looking for some very rare herbs that only grow in this area of the continent. There's been an outbreak of oil drip in my hometown, and as a herbalist, I can recognize the plants that are needed for the cure." "I'm sorry, what's an oil drip?" "Oh, I did not know this disease does not exist outside of our continent. The doctors are unsure of its cause, but what happens is that the patient's sweat becomes as thick as oil, and they get a very high fever with violent coughing. Some of us have a natural immunity to it, but those that are not so lucky get quarantined somewhere and left there to die on their own. The only cure we know of for this disease is extracted from a very rare plant that I've come here to collect." "But why are you the one that came here to get the herbs? Do you have members of your family that are infected? Why didn't you at least hire some bodyguards to go with you?" "Oh no, my family's fine, thank the gods. I came here because all the sick are too poor to afford the money to send anyone to collect the herbs for them, and I did not have the money to hire bodyguards to come with me either. I am no doctor, but I volunteer to help tend to the sick as often as I can. With the death of our grand priest, the number of sick people increases every day. He was the last person in our town that knew how to create food using magic, and as much as he has tried, he did not succeed in teaching his craft to any of his disciples. Many people are starting to get poisoned because of eating the wrong berries from the forest. Others are dying of starvation, and others have resorted to... She pauses for a bit to bring herself to say the words that were on her tongue. "Animal hunting," she finishes her phrase. "Wait, so it's true that on your continent it is forbidden to hunt animals?" asked Darren, shocked. There was a time when each city in Varathia had at least 10 people that knew how to create food out of nothing by using magic. That skill was taught to them by the Creator, and they taught it to their disciples as well as they could. But those that could pick up the skill were very rare and talented individuals. Since the very foundation of Varathia 600 years ago, all the cities relied heavily on the Creator to find these talented individuals and teach them this craft. But then the Creator simply disappeared about 100 years ago, and the number of people that still knew the food-making craft started to dwindle. With the risk of asking something obvious, "Who is the Creator?" asks Darren. "Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot how little information about us reaches the other continents. The Creator was the founder of our civilization. Everything we are today, we owe to him. He and the spirit protector of all animals, the great golden fox, decided together 600 years ago to end all war and hunger, uniting the human and animal kingdom and leading them into an age of peace and prosperity. They taught both humans and animals how to create what they needed with magic, and thus eliminated the need for work and conflict. Food, water, warmth, shelter, every one of those things could be obtained through magical means. From what I hear, it must have been paradise." "Why did the Creator disappear?" "Nobody knows for certain. There are many tales about what led to his disappearance, but we have no way of knowing if any of them are true. Some of them say he went insane in the last few decades of his reign, and he simply left us without a word. Some of them say that he was disappointed with humankind and decided to abandon us. Others say he simply got bored with us and went to create another civilization on a different continent. Most people, however, think he died, and that the kings of Varathia decided to hide this from the people in order to avoid creating panic. As long as the people still hold a hope that the Creator might return to save them all, there can still be some sense of order.
Hey,
She
Mom,
pauses.
I need help.
But I must be boring you with these stories. I thank you all again from the bottom of my heart for rescuing me back there. I only wish there was something I could offer you in return. Darren grins. Well, you have time to think about that on your way home because we're coming with you. What? Kate says. That sounds like a great idea. You too? Kate asks me, disappointed. Well, it's not like we have anything to do until they give us our objectives, I tell her, and we'll probably be safer in one of the cities than out here in the wild, where we keep getting attacked every few hours. Didn't you say yourself that you don't have any specific leads to the whereabouts of the friend you're looking for right now? I suppose, but... Then it's settled, Darren says enthusiastically. No, Kate says, nothing's settled. I never said I agree with this. Please listen to me, Rose interrupts. Darren, I really appreciate what you're trying to do, but I do not want you to fight with your friends over it. Trust me, I'll be fine. I know I may have seemed like I didn't know what I was doing back there, but in reality I've walked these roads by myself before. I've purposely avoided all areas that are frequented by monsters or bandits and have done plenty of research ahead of time. The only reason I ran into those goblins was because they were a rogue group, far away from any other goblin encampments. It won't happen again. Be quiet for a second, Kate says. Do you hear that? Now that she mentions it, I can hear a faint whistling, although I don't recognize the tune. It's getting closer. Suddenly the music stops, just as the whistlers get in visual range of us. There's 3 of them, weapon enhancers by the looks of them. They seem cleaner than Cutthroat Dave's group, and they don't smell like them, but other than that, they don't look much different. They'll probably attack us on sight like all the others. And here I thought we'd filled our quota of pointless fights for today. Clive, do you see that? Says one of the men. By the gods, it's a banshee, says another. The third man starts screaming and falls on his back. Monster! Kill the monster! Yells one of them with sheer terror in his voice. Kate doesn't seem to be taking this very well. She's looking towards the ground, but this time it's not anger I see in her eyes. If I were to guess, I'd say she's feeling miserable. The man named Clive is now rushing and screaming towards Kate with the sword in his hand, ready to run through her. Darren readies his sword, but before he gets to act, it is Rose that puts herself between Kate and the attacking mage. Why? Stop! She yells. The mage named Clive stops and strikes. Get out of my way, woman, he says, or I'll kill you along with that monstrosity you're so keen on defending. You can't hurt her. I won't let you. I owe her for saving my life, and you can't hurt me either. I'm a citizen of Varathia. Ha! You think their dumb rules can stop me? I've murdered people before. I'll teach you a little trick. As long as they don't catch you in the act, they have no real proof. What, you don't really believe in their fairy tales about their spells somehow teleporting me away before I kill you, do you? Anyone smarter than a rat would be able to tell that's just a bluff. He's right. Even for magic, a spell like that, the one Varathia is claimed to have cast on us, would go much beyond what we know is possible. To stop an attack before it even occurs, you would need something akin to thought reading. Clive, one of the other men says, maybe you should let her be. We shouldn't be going around attacking locals on our second day. Don't worry, I won't be attacking her, Clive says with a wicked grin. I'm just going to teach this little her place. No, Darren shouts as he runs towards Rose. At the same time, Kate extends her arm towards Clive and an ice cone is slowly coming out of her palm. Clive quickly slashes his knife at Rose's face and she instinctively closes her eyes. The mage stops his strike mere inches away from his target and his whole body starts vibrating loudly as it gets enveloped in a white light. He starts to say, but he gets teleported out of the continent and away from the tournament. What did you do to Clive, you filthy... Rah! The man who started to talk was immediately interrupted by one of Kate's cones of ice that went through his right shoulder. Normally I wouldn't think twice about killing scum like you, Kate says, but I'd rather spare Rose from witnessing a gruesome bloodbath. So I'm offering you a chance to retreat. What do you say? The man with the ice cone in his right shoulder is grinding his teeth. Forget the banshee, he says to his comrade. Let's get the hell out of here. Once the two of them get far enough away, Kate turns to Rose and says, I've changed my mind. I'd be honored to serve as your escort till you reach your hometown. I'm sorry for having misjudged you. What you just did was very brave and heroic. Since when do you appreciate bravery and heroism? Kate, who's standing right beside me, punches me in my right shoulder. Her punch was strong enough to leave a decent bruise. Damn it, Kate, have you ever heard of moderation? Shut up, you asked for it. I was trying to be nice and you ruined the moment. Yeah, well, being nice doesn't suit you. Now punching people, on the other hand. Rose lets out a giggle which catches our attention. I'm sorry, she says, smiling. It's just that you reminded me of my little brother and sister who always have fights like this. You two seem really close. Kate is blushing. This is the first time I've seen her blush since I've met her yesterday. It kind of suits her. I can see why, Darren says, grinning. Barry's been smitten with Kate ever since he first laid eyes on her. You what? Kate asks me, taking Darren's joke a little too seriously. Hey now, says Darren, you'll have to continue this conversation later, in private. Now there's 4 of us. We'll need to rethink our battle strategy. We need to make sure nothing happens to Rose if we encounter any monsters on our way to her hometown. And so we ended up spending the rest of the morning on discussing different tactics and stratagems. Well, hey, we got through a whole chapter and Barry didn't die. I call that a success.
The entire chapter.
Yep.
I call
And that here.